It was a quiet evening in the small suburban town. The sun had just dipped behind the trees, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The streets were empty, except for a few children playing with their dogs, and a gentle breeze carried the faint smell of freshly cut grass. Inside one of the modest houses, Daniel sat on his worn-out sofa, scrolling through news articles on his tablet. Life had been simple, predictable, and maybe a little boring. He had lived in the neighborhood for nearly 5 years. He knew almost everyone by name, and most of the streets had familiar faces. Yet tonight something felt different. Perhaps it was just the evening silence, or perhaps it was the sense of anticipation he couldn't quite place. The knock on the door startled him. Daniel wasn't expecting anyone. It wasn't unusual for neighbors to visit, but most would call first. He glanced at the clock, 7:15 p.m., and frowned. Another knock followed, more deliberate this time. Daniel rose slowly, walking toward the door. As he opened it, a chill ran down his spine, not from fear but from the sheer strangeness of what he saw. Standing there was a woman. She appeared human at first glance, with delicate features and soft silver hair that framed her face like a halo, but something about her eyes made Daniel pause. They were an unusual shade of violet, almost glowing faintly in the dim light. Her skin had a subtle, shimmering quality, like the soft glow of moonlight on water, and the way she carried herself, it was graceful, almost ethereal, as if she were not entirely of this world. "Hello?" she said, her voice calm and soothing. "I hope I'm not disturbing you." Daniel blinked. No, it's fine. Can I help you?" The woman smiled faintly. "I hope so. I'm new to the neighborhood. I just moved in next door. My name is Lyra. May I come in for a moment? I have something I'd like to discuss with you." Daniel hesitated. He didn't know why, but he felt a strange mix of curiosity and caution. Something about her was different, yet there was also an unspoken kindness in her tone. Sure. Please come in." Lyra stepped inside, moving with a fluid elegance that made Daniel feel clumsy in comparison. She looked around briefly, her violet eyes observing everything in the room, yet her attention quickly returned to him. "Thank you for welcoming me," she said. "I promise I won't take much of your time." Daniel offered her a seat on the sofa, and she accepted. For a moment, they sat in silence. Daniel tried to think of what to say, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, he found himself staring at her, wondering who or what she really was. Finally, Lyra spoke. "I'm aware that I might appear unusual. That's understandable. I come from far away, much farther than most people can imagine. I've been through things that may sound unbelievable to you. I am a widow now. I lost my home, my family, everything I knew." Her eyes flickered with a sadness that seemed too deep to belong on Earth. Daniel's curiosity grew. I'm sorry. I didn't know. That sounds really hard," she nodded. "It was, and it is still. But I have a purpose here, a mission that cannot wait. And that is why I am speaking to you." Daniel felt a mixture of confusion and intrigue. "A mission? What kind of mission?" Lyra's gaze held his, steady and unwavering. "I can't explain all of it right now. Some things are sensitive. But I can tell you this. It involves something very important, something that could change a lot of lives. Including yours." Daniel's heart began to beat faster. "Me? Why me?" "You have qualities that are rare," she said softly. "Courage, curiosity, empathy. I've observed people for a long time, and I can tell that you possess what others often lack. That is why I came to you. I need someone I can trust." Daniel swallowed. He didn't know what to say. The words felt heavy, almost impossible to believe, yet there was something about Lyra that made him want to trust her. I don't know," he admitted. "This is a lot. I've never dealt with anything like this before." Lyra smiled faintly. "I understand. And I don't expect you to make a decision immediately, but there is a choice to be made, and soon." She reached into a small bag she had carried and pulled out a device that looked like a tablet, but unlike anything Daniel had ever seen. It was sleek, glowing faintly with an inner light. She placed it on the coffee table between them. "Take a look," she said. "This will help you understand. But be warned. What you see may challenge everything you think you know about the world." Daniel leaned closer, his curiosity overcoming his hesitation. The device displayed images of distant planets, enormous cities floating in space and beings of many shapes and sizes, some beautiful, some terrifying. He saw technology that seemed magical beyond the limits of human science. He gasped, This is incredible. Is it real? Lyra nodded. All of it is real, and all of it is just a glimpse. There is much more to learn, much more that you could be part of. But I cannot do this alone. That is why I need your help. Daniel's mind raced. He wanted to ask questions, to understand how any of this could be possible. But one thought stood out more than anything else, the loneliness in her eyes. It was real, raw, and human, even if she was not entirely human herself. Why me? He asked again. Because humans have something my kind often lacks, she said quietly. Hope, determination, the ability to act even when the odds are against you. That is why I trust you. That is why I chose to knock on your door tonight. Daniel sat back, feeling the weight of her words. Everything in his life had been ordinary, safe, and predictable. And now in one evening his world had shifted. He didn't fully understand what he was being asked to do, but he felt something stir inside him. A spark of adventure, of purpose. Lyra stood, her presence commanding yet gentle. Think about it, she said. You don't have to decide tonight. But know this, opportunities like this are rare. When they come, they don't wait. With that, she smiled again, a mix of sadness and hope, and left the room. Daniel closed the door behind her, leaning against it, trying to process everything. He walked back to the sofa, the device still glowing faintly on the table. He stared at it for a long time, the images flickering in his mind. Distant stars, alien worlds, unimaginable technology. And one thought kept repeating: he had been chosen. By a being unlike anyone he had ever met. By someone who saw something extraordinary in him. For the first time in years, Daniel felt that his life might not be ordinary anymore. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring or what choices he would make. But he knew one thing for certain. Something had changed, and there was no going back to the way things were before. And somewhere, in the quiet of the evening, Lyra watched from the edge of the street, hoping that he would be ready. Because what she had to offer was not just a gift, nor just a mission. It was a chance to discover what humans could truly achieve, if they dared to step beyond the ordinary. The knock on the door had been the beginning of something much larger, and Daniel, for all his doubts and fears, couldn't help but wonder, what if this was the opportunity he had been waiting for all along? The next morning, Daniel could not stop thinking about Lyra. Her strange violet eyes, her soft glowing skin, and the incredible device she had shown him, all of it kept replaying in his mind. He had tried to go about his usual routine, making coffee and checking emails, but his thoughts kept drifting back to her words. You have qualities that are rare: courage, curiosity, empathy. By the afternoon, a knock came at his door. His heart skipped a beat. It was her. Good morning, Lyra said with her soft, melodic voice. I hope I'm not disturbing you again. Daniel opened the door wider this time. Not at all. Please come in. Lyra stepped inside, and this time she seemed more relaxed. She had brought a small bag with her, which she placed gently on the kitchen table. I thought we could talk, she said. More openly this time. I want you to understand why I came here and why I need your help. Daniel nodded, feeling both nervous and curious. I want to understand, he said. But honestly, this is all a lot. Aliens, missions, I don't even know where to start. Lyra smiled gently. Start here, she said, pointing to the glowing device she had shown him the night before. She opened it, and a new set of images and diagrams appeared. This time they showed something more personal. Her life, her history, and the tragedy that had brought her to Earth. My world was destroyed, Lyra began, her voice soft and sad. A war came that we could not stop. My family, my friends, everything I knew, gone. I survived, but only because I left. I came to Earth hoping to find safety and perhaps a purpose. Daniel listened, stunned. Her words were calm, yet the sadness behind them was unmistakable. He realized that this being, so different from him in appearance and in technology, had experienced loss in a way humans could understand. I can't go back, she continued, and yet I cannot stay hidden forever. There are others, forces from my home galaxy, who may find me, forces that do not wish well for your planet or for me. Daniel felt a shiver run down his spine. "So that's why you need help?" he asked. "Yes," Lyra said simply, "but not just anyone. I need someone who can think like a human, act with courage, and understand empathy. Your species has something rare. You are not just strong or fast. You are clever, you care, and that makes a difference, even in ways I have never experienced myself." Daniel's mind raced. He wanted to ask questions, but the more he listened, the more he realized that words would not be enough. He wanted to understand her world, her technology, her mission, but Eve. The following morning, Daniel woke early, his mind racing with thoughts of Lyra and the task she had given him. The holographic map she had shown the day before glowed in his memory, marking a path filled with strange symbols, glowing points and landmarks he knew all too well. Today was the day he would begin his first mission. He ate a quick breakfast, his hands shaking slightly with excitement and nerves. For hours he had imagined what it might be like to step beyond his ordinary life. Now it was real, and despite his fear, a spark of determination burned inside him. At exactly 9 a.m., there was a soft chime at his door. It was Lyra. She stood there, her silver hair catching the morning light, her violet eyes calm yet alert. "Good morning," she said softly. "Are you ready?" Daniel nodded, swallowing hard. "I think so, but I don't really know what to expect." Lyra smiled faintly. "That is why I am here, trust me. You will learn quickly. The first task is simple in purpose, but it will test your observation, judgment, and problem-solving skills. Humans often excel at these things in ways others cannot." Daniel followed her outside. The air was crisp, filled with the quiet hum of suburban life. Birds chirped in the trees and neighbors walked their dogs along the sidewalks. To any ordinary observer, this was a normal day in a quiet town. Yet Daniel knew that today, he would see the ordinary in a completely new light. Lyra led him to a small laboratory on the outskirts of town. It was a place Daniel had passed countless times without much thought. Today, however, it would become the stage for his first challenge. "The object you need is inside," Lyra explained. "It appears ordinary, but it contains information critical to preventing it from falling into the wrong hands. It may be protected by technology that seems advanced to you, but do not worry. You have what it takes to succeed." Daniel swallowed nervously. "Advanced technology? Like alarms?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, but you will approach it with observation, logic, and creativity. That is what humans are good at." Daniel took a deep breath and followed her inside. The laboratory was bright, filled with equipment and glass cases. Scientists moved around, focused on their work. To anyone else, it would have seemed normal. But Daniel knew he was searching for something extraordinary hidden in plain sight. Lyra guided him silently to a corner of the room. "Look carefully," she whispered. "Notice what others may overlook." Daniel scanned the area. He noticed a small, unassuming device sitting on a counter near a window. It looked like a regular piece of equipment, almost invisible in the room's brightness. But something about it seemed different. A faint glow pulsed from within, just enough to catch his attention. "That's it," Lyra said quietly. "But it is protected. You must retrieve it without drawing attention." Daniel studied the room. Scientists moved predictably, their eyes focused on their screens and instruments. He realized he would need to time his actions carefully, blending observation with patience. Taking a deep breath, he stepped closer to the device, moving slowly, deliberately. Every step counted. Every movement mattered. He felt a thrill of focus unlike anything he had experienced before. As he reached for the device, a sensor on the counter flickered. He froze, heart pounding. A soft hum indicated the presence of a security measure. He realized he needed to think quickly. Daniel looked around. There was a stack of papers nearby. He nudged them carefully, blocking the sensor's light beam. Slowly, he lifted the device. It felt surprisingly light, almost delicate. He held it carefully, mindful of every motion. "Good," Lyra whispered, her eyes glowing faintly. "Now retreat carefully. Watch the patterns of movement. Humans notice details others miss." Daniel retraced his steps, careful not to bump into anyone or disturb the equipment. His heart raced, but he felt a surge of pride. He was succeeding. Not because of tools or technology, but because of his own observation, logic, and attention to detail. Outside, the sun had climbed higher. Daniel breathed deeply, holding the device tightly. "We did it," he said, a mixture of relief and excitement in his voice. Lyra smiled, her violet eyes reflecting genuine admiration. You did it. Not because I guided you every step, but because you noticed what others overlooked. Humans have a remarkable ability to solve problems in ways that even advanced species cannot predict. That is why I chose you. Daniel looked down at the device. It was small, unassuming, yet it carried incredible importance. He realized that his ordinary life had prepared him for this moment in ways he had never imagined. Every moment of observation, every habit of curiosity, every decision to act with care, these were the qualities that had brought him success. As they walked back to his house, Lyra spoke softly. This is just the beginning. The first mission was simple, but it was a test. I needed to see how you think, how you act, and how you respond under pressure. You passed. Daniel nodded, feeling both pride and humility. I didn't know I could do something like that, he admitted. Lyra smiled. Humans often underestimate themselves. You have courage, intelligence, and adaptability. That combination is rare even among advanced species. You see, the universe is vast and full of challenges, but humans have something unique, the ability to act with both heart and mind. Daniel laughed softly, shaking his head in disbelief. I never thought my life would lead me to this: aliens, missions, secret objects. It all feels like a dream. Lyra's expression softened. It may feel that way now, but dreams can become reality when humans are willing to step beyond fear, doubt, and ordinary limits. That is what makes your species extraordinary. As they approached his home, Daniel noticed neighbors passing by, unaware of the extraordinary events unfolding in their quiet town. To them it was a normal day. But for Daniel, the world had shifted. Everything seemed sharper, brighter, more alive. He had seen the hidden layers of ordinary life, the puzzles, the challenges, the potential for greatness. Once inside, Lyra placed the device on the table, its faint glow illuminating the room. Rest for now, she said. Tomorrow the next mission will begin. It will be more complex, and you will need to rely on both your wits and your courage. But remember this: you have already proven yourself. You can handle challenges you never imagined. Daniel sat down, still holding the device in his hands. A sense of purpose filled him, a feeling he had never known in his ordinary life. He realized that the adventure was not just about helping Lyra or completing missions. It was about discovering what humans could achieve when they were brave, clever, and willing to trust themselves. As evening fell, Daniel looked out the window at the quiet street. The ordinary neighborhood seemed unchanged, yet he knew he had changed. He had seen the extraordinary in the ordinary. He had faced a challenge and succeeded, and he knew that this was only the beginning. Somewhere beyond the stars, Lyra's people, and the rival factions he did not yet understand, the universe waited. And Daniel, an ordinary man from a quiet town, had taken his first step toward something extraordinary. He smiled, feeling a spark of excitement. The first mission was complete, but the adventure had only just begun. And for the first time, he understood what Lyra had meant. Humans were capable of remarkable things, if they dared to try. The morning sun poured through Daniel's window, waking him with its warm light. Despite the calm of the quiet suburban neighborhood, his mind was buzzing. Yesterday's mission with Lyra had been a success, but he knew that was only the beginning. Lyra had promised the next mission would be more complex, and Daniel felt both excitement and a touch of nervousness. By 8:30 a.m., Lyra appeared at his door. She carried no glowing devices this time, only a small bag and a confident, steady expression. "Good morning," she said softly. "Are you ready for the next step?" Daniel nodded, his hands tightening around the edge of the door frame. "I think so. Yesterday was intense, but I learned a lot." Lyra smiled faintly. "Good. Today you will need to use everything you have learned: observation, patience, logic, and creativity. This task will not be simple, but I have faith in you." They walked together through the quiet streets. Daniel felt a thrill of purpose, a sense that he was stepping further into a world few humans had ever seen. The ordinary houses, trees, and sidewalks of the neighborhood now seemed full of hidden meaning. Every shadow, every sound could matter. Lyra led him to a large office building downtown. It was modern, glass windows reflecting the bright morning sun. Daniel had passed it many times before, never thinking twice. Today it would become the stage for his next challenge. "The object you need this time is inside," Lyra explained. "It contains data that is critical to a mission we cannot fail. But it is protected, not only by human security measures but by technology you have never seen. You must use your mind to solve this puzzle, rather than rely on strength or speed. Daniel swallowed, feeling a mixture of nervousness and anticipation. So, I have to think, not run? Lyra nodded. Exactly. Humans have a unique ability to see patterns, notice details, and improvise. That is why I need you. Pay attention, adapt, and act carefully. Inside the building, the hum of computers and the murmur of employees filled the air. Daniel followed Lyra quietly, his eyes scanning everything. They approached a hallway lined with offices. At the end was a small lab room marked with a simple sign. That is your destination, Lyra said. Inside you will find clues that lead to the object. Observe carefully. Notice things. The next morning, Daniel awoke with a sense of unease. The night had been quiet, almost too quiet. Lyra had warned him that the next mission would be more complex and that danger could be closer than he realized. Yet he felt ready. Yesterday had taught him that careful observation, patience, and human ingenuity could make even the most difficult task possible. Lyra appeared at his door shortly after sunrise. Her silver hair shimmered softly in the morning light, and her violet eyes seemed sharper than ever. Good morning, Daniel, she said. Today the stakes are higher. You will see why we must act quickly and carefully. Daniel nodded, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement. I'm ready, he said. They walked together through the quiet streets toward a small warehouse on the outskirts of town. Daniel had passed it countless times before, never thinking twice about the nondescript building. Today it would become the center of the most important mission he had faced so far. Lyra led him to the side entrance. Inside you will find the object we seek. But it will not be simple. There are others, forces from my home galaxy, who may attempt to interfere. Your task is to retrieve the object and protect it using your human skills, intelligence, creativity, and courage. Daniel swallowed. Other forces? How dangerous are they? They are capable, Lyra admitted. But humans often surprise them. You may find that your actions, your choices, can make all the difference. Inside the warehouse, the air was cool and still. Shadows stretched across the high ceilings, and the faint hum of distant machines filled the space. Daniel's heart raced as he followed Lyra, his eyes scanning every corner, every shadow, every detail. At the far end of the warehouse, they spotted the object, a small, unassuming device, glowing faintly. It looked simple, almost ordinary, but Daniel remembered Lyra's words. Appearances could be deceiving. As he stepped closer, a sudden noise echoed through the building. A faint shimmer of movement caught his eye. Figures emerged from the shadows, tall, sleek beings with eyes that glowed faintly, and technology that pulsed with a soft light. The rival faction had arrived. Daniel froze for a moment, fear and adrenaline mixing in his chest. Lyra placed a hand gently on his shoulder. Stay calm, observe, think. Humans can act in ways they do not expect. Daniel took a deep breath, focusing on the details. He noticed the pattern of the intruders' movements, the way they approached the device and the rhythm of their steps. An idea began to form, a way to protect the object without confronting them directly. He looked around the warehouse. Crates, barrels, and equipment were scattered everywhere. Using quick thinking, he nudged a stack of crates to create a barrier between the intruders and the device. A simple action, yet it forced them to slow down and reconsider their approach. Lyra watched him, a faint smile on her lips. Excellent. Humans have a way of improvising that even advanced beings cannot predict. Daniel's confidence grew. He moved carefully, using shadows and obstacles to remain unseen while positioning himself strategically. Every small detail mattered. Every decision counted. The intruders paused, scanning the room. Daniel realized they were cautious, unfamiliar with human unpredictability. He used this to his advantage, creating distractions with small movements, knocking over lightweight objects to shift their attention. Slowly, deliberately, he edged closer to the glowing device. His heart pounded, but he stayed focused, remembering the lessons of the first two missions. Observe, adapt, act. Lyra whispered guidance, her voice calm and steady. You are doing well. Remember, your strength lies not in weapons, but in your mind and your courage. Use both wisely. Daniel reached the device. With a careful hand, he activated a simple protective mechanism that Lyra had shown him. A soft shield of light surrounded the object, making it invisible and inaccessible to the intruders. The rival faction paused, sensing something unusual, but they could not penetrate the shield. Daniel realized that human creativity had turned the tide. Their technology was advanced, but it could not predict the ingenuity of a mind acting under pressure with courage and focus. Lyra's eyes glimmered with admiration. Humans can do remarkable things. Even when faced with overwhelming odds, your species can adapt and succeed. The intruders finally retreated, sensing the difficulty of overcoming the unexpected obstacles. They disappeared into the shadows, leaving the warehouse silent once more. Daniel exhaled, relief washing over him. He had succeeded not with force but with intelligence, observation, and courage. Lyra approached, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You have done well, Daniel. Not because of strength or weapons, but because of your human qualities. Courage, creativity, and determination. These are what make humans extraordinary." Daniel smiled, still catching his breath. I didn't know I could do that. I didn't think I had it in me." Lyra shook her head gently. "You underestimated yourself. That is common among humans. But you have proven that even ordinary individuals can achieve remarkable things when they act with thought, heart, and courage." They returned to Daniel's home, carrying the glowing device. The quiet streets of the neighborhood seemed unchanged, yet Daniel felt different. The ordinary world he had known was gone. He had faced a real threat, used his mind and courage to succeed, and discovered that humans could do things even advanced beings could not anticipate. That night, as Daniel sat alone, he thought about what had happened. He realized that the mission had tested not only his skills but also his character. Every choice, every action, every moment of focus had mattered. He understood something profound. Humans had potential beyond what they often imagined. Lyra's words echoed in his mind. Humans have a way of acting under pressure, solving problems and thinking creatively that others cannot predict. "That is why I trust you." Daniel smiled. He had begun to see himself differently, not just as an ordinary man from a quiet town, but as someone capable of courage, ingenuity, and remarkable action. He understood now that being human was not about strength or speed, but about using one's mind, heart, and determination to face challenges and overcome them. Outside, the moon cast a soft glow over the streets. The quiet neighborhood seemed peaceful, but Daniel knew that the universe was vast, full of challenges, mysteries, and dangers. He had faced one threat today, but there would be more. Yet he felt ready. He had learned that humans could rise to the occasion, even when the odds seemed impossible. And somewhere beyond the stars, Lyra watched with hope in her violet eyes. She knew the real test was coming, but she also knew that humans were capable of extraordinary things. For Daniel, the night was quiet, but his mind was alive with possibilities. The rival faction had retreated, but he knew that every mission, every challenge, and every decision ahead would test the limits of human courage and ingenuity. He held the glowing device in his hands, feeling a sense of pride and responsibility. He had faced danger, used his mind and creativity, and succeeded. And he knew one thing for certain: humans were capable of greatness if they trusted themselves, acted with courage, and never underestimated their own potential. Tomorrow, the next mission would begin. But for now, Daniel rested, confident that he had discovered something important: the extraordinary power of the human mind. And here, the morning air was crisp and full of promise. Daniel awoke feeling a mixture of excitement and anticipation. The previous missions had tested him in ways he had never imagined, but today was different. Today, he would see the full impact of his efforts, and perhaps understand why Lyra had trusted him from the very beginning. Lyra arrived at his door as the sun climbed over the rooftops. Her silver hair shimmered softly, and her violet eyes seemed to hold a quiet confidence. "Good morning, Daniel," she said. "Are you ready for the final step?" Daniel nodded, though a flutter of nerves lingered in his stomach. "I think so. I've learned a lot. I just hope I can do this." "You already have," Lyra said gently. "But this mission will test not only your skills but your humanity. Courage, intelligence, empathy, and creativity. Everything you have shown will matter today." They walked through the quiet streets, the world around them appearing ordinary but brimming with unseen possibilities. The warehouse from yesterday had been a test, but today, Daniel understood the real challenge awaited. Lyra led him to a hidden facility at the edge of town. It was partially underground, accessible only through a narrow path flanked by trees. The faint glow of technology pulsed inside, visible even from the entrance. "This is where we will confront the final challenge," Lyra explained. "The object you retrieved yesterday holds information that is highly sought after. Forces from my galaxy may attempt to retrieve it, but humans have something unique. Your mind, your heart, and your courage are your greatest tools. Use them wisely." Daniel took a deep breath. He felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders, but also a sense of confidence. The previous missions had taught him to observe, to adapt, and to think creatively. He understood now that human ingenuity could surpass even the most advanced technology when applied with focus and courage. Inside the facility, the air hummed with energy. Panels of glowing light lined the walls, and the faint vibration of machinery filled the space. Daniel followed Lyra carefully, scanning every corner, every shadow, every detail. At the center of the room, a small pedestal held the object, a simple device, glowing Scifi.